doing these talks at 5 o'clock now. 5 o'clock is a little bit easier, man. I just got so much stuff going on. And again, I apologize. I used to do them at 4, but 5 o'clock is just going to work out better. So that's what I'm going to move over to. What I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about the experts are mediocre, right? We're all kind of seeing now that the expert class isn't really the expert class. And if there's one great thing about the internet, it's just that everybody could see everything now. And we all kind of see that so many people are just full of crap. I mean, they're not the expert that we all kind of grew up thinking that they were. And the reason for this is because everyone can see everything now. You know, it used to be you only had, 5 or 6 news networks. And so you only got your news from like 5 or 6 different people, right? So it's like you only had 5 or 6 people that could potentially be full of crap. And now you have thousands of people giving you the news. And you can just see that all these people are garbage. And they've been garbage for a long time. And I wrote this down in a whole bunch of different industries. I mean, we're going to talk about healthcare. We're going to talk about cars, home repairs, politics, news, movies, one of my favorite things, subscriptions, technology companies. I mean, all this kind of stuff has just pointed out the fact that for the last 30 or 40 years, like, we've all been kind of lied to be completely honest with you. That's kind of how I see it, So anyway, what I'm talking about today is the experts are mediocre. We can all see it, and that's what we're talking about. So my name is Eric Wilkin. I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small furniture company, and I like to do these talks about 5 o'clock, and I just talk about kind of whatever I've been listening to, whenever I see the news, and kind of try to relate it to being in business and stuff like that, furniture making and all that kind of stuff. And we got about 7 employees. I mean, do I have 8 now? I think I have 8 employees now. We do a small 7 figures. It's a nice little, middle income life. It's not crazy money. Some years are good. Some years, are terrible. And that's business, right? And the whole point of these streams is just to talk to people about being in business, to show people what it's really like to run a company and what the back end of, dealing with making furniture, right? Painting furniture, dealing with the trials and tribulations of running a company, So anyway, and anybody can do this. Like, I never went to high school. I never graduated high school. I did a little bit of, education later on, little things, but I just never... Education was never my thing. I did it through just working, like really working hard, working for a long time with the same companies, and just doing the basics, showing up on time, always putting my best foot forward, always offering to help people, being helpful, trying to learn new things, and just being that reliable employee. That's all I really did. And I took that 20 years of doing that and all the things I learned that 20 years, and I was able to grow this company. My wife had the idea of the painting thing, and I had the furniture thing, and it's turned into, like I said, it's a decent business. It's nothing great, but it's decent, okay? So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. It's 5 o'clock, and this is the time of day where I usually grab myself a beer, and I shoot the shit with YouTube. One of the best things about owning your own business, you can make the rules, right? And OSHA can kiss my ass, the EPA can kiss my ass. Pretty much all of these people that tell businesses how they need to operate, they can kiss my ass. And they're on my list, so we're going to talk about them today too, okay? So we're going to start with healthcare, right? So all these experts forever have been talking to us about how to get healthy, what health really is and all this kind of stuff. And truth is that most of the people that are telling you what healthy is and what you should be doing as it pertains to your physicality, like most of them are full of shit. They're all bought and paid for, and they're all, basically just shills for pharmaceutical companies and these insurance companies, and it's a real drag, and we can all see it now. And I wrote down things like, remember the food pyramid? The food pyramid was actually paid for, I believe, by the sugar lobby, if I'm not mistaken. So they pushed the idea of eating carbs and stuff, so they didn't talk about how terrible sugars and stuff were. They pushed that forever. This idea of SSRIs, these re-up inhibitors, these things are a total scam. Kids shouldn't be on this stuff. If you're depressed, go get some fucking sunlight. Go out and do something. Go make something, right? If you're depressed, you don't need a drug. Like, so many people are on these things. I mean, I've heard some terrible stats. I've heard like as much as 30% of all children are on these basically depression drugs, and it's like, that's insane, guys. That is absolutely insane. And again, we've had doctors and people telling us, like, this is the stuff you should be doing for your kids and for the people around you. Man, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. The people that push this stuff, they've lied to people. And we're starting to I think it's starting to get out of the ether this is not how you're supposed to deal with matters of depression. And you're not supposed to just feed people tons of freaking carbs and things like that. It's not how we're supposed to live. I wrote down these GLP-1s. These are the latest ones, right? Everyone's heard about Ozempic, right? There's Manjaro and all these kind of things. And truth is, my wife took some of that shit, and I've just never been a fan, and it worked great for her for I think it was like 12 months, and then it literally just kind of stopped working, So anyway, those things are all bullshit. They're just a replacement for exercise, and I think the experts are even saying now that we need to prescribe these to kids, right? Children. Children are not predisposed to be fat, right? Children are not predisposed to overeat, right? These are learned behaviors, and the fact that we're even entertaining the idea of giving these to people in masses is insane. It's absolutely insane. I cannot wrap my head around it. It makes no sense to me. The idea, remember during COVID, it was like fat acceptance. There was this idea that, we were supposed to celebrate fat people and people that were not very mobile and didn't take care of themselves. They were putting these fat chicks on Sports Illustrated. You guys remember this? This shit was crazy. You got fat models. What man is gonna, look twice at a freaking Sports Illustrated cover? It's got some Shamu whale chick on. Not happening. But they would shame us into thinking that we had to think this way. You're a bad guy if you don't think that Shamu on the cover of Sports Illustrated is not beautiful, right? And so that stuff's insane. Or there was this other idea where they're pushing the old concept of a man bod. You guys remember that? Man bods were the hot thing. Oh, women love man bods. No. Women don't love man bods, right? Women like security, don't get me wrong, but all things being equal, women are going to pick a guy that is reasonably in shape. They're going to pick some fat slob who doesn't take care of himself. I'm sorry. Just like this whole fat acceptance thing. There's no way you take 100 men and you put, Heidi Klum over here and you put, Precious over here. 100% of those guys are picking Heidi Klum. I'm sorry. It's just no one's picking Precious. It's just not going to happen, So anyway, yeah, so the healthcare thing, it's all just been a big scam. This idea that you're just going to be hooked on drugs and, which then everybody needs insurance, right? Because no one can actually afford the drugs. So then you get into the insurance industry. And everyone's lying about insurance. Of course no one can afford everything if every freaking person in America is taking drugs all the time. You can't make enough drugs to satiate the demand for freaking the amount of shit that people want to stick in their bodies. It's wild. The political side, right? We got politicians. Politicians they're all liars too. If you guys look at what's going on right now, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Everybody is voting to bankrupt our country. Nobody is willing to look themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, I probably don't need any help from the federal government. The federal government just needs to maintain my border, which it clearly wasn't doing for quite a while. Maintain my border, make sure the roads work, make sure the police are there, make sure the courts work, and that's really about it. But we got too many people. Everyone in the country right now has their hand in the pocket of America. Everybody has to have something. I don't know what the fuck happened to our country where we couldn't take care of ourselves. We can't take care of our kids, we can't take care of our parents. Suddenly it's the government's problem. They all got to deal with it. And these politicians, they just pit the haves versus the have-nots, right? And it's not the haves want tax cuts, right? Which we're not paying enough taxes apparently. And then the people that, think that they need more money, they want more subsidies for housing. They want more of their health care paid for, which I just told about. You wouldn't need so much fucking health care if you take care of yourself. If you go out and exercise a little bit, go for a walk every now and again, pick up a used bike, go ride a bike, stop eating garbage all the time. And then you always get the inevitable person that comes in, oh, food deserts. Fuck off. That has nothing to do with it. That's nothing to do with it. So it's just, these politicians, they just pit everybody against each other, and they don't realize that basically this country brings in something like $5.5 trillion, and it's not enough. It'll never be enough for people. I don't know what is going on. Who we got here? We got Pat coming in, Trevolio. Pat, good to see you. Just talking about how the experts they're all mediocre, man. They're all liars. We can see it thanks to the internet, right? We can see that you have all these different experts that have popped up because of the popularity of things like YouTube, because of things like Twitter or X, because of things like even TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. There's so many other people that now have a platform that we're realizing that most of us were lied to. Gen X was lied to, hardcore. Jonathan Wesley's in here. Jonathan, good to see you. We're talking about experts. We're talking about all the different things that experts have basically lied to us about for the last 30 or 40 years. And because of Instagram and YouTube and all these things, we can, Facebook and all these different online platforms, we can see all this stuff. And the experts are changing, and it's thank God. It's about time. So anyway, the politicians they cannot stop spending money. And everyone says, well, it's because the citizens want to spend money. And man, I don't know if it is. I don't know. Like, I'm not convinced that the citizens want to pay. I mean, we just saw what happened with this whole Doge USAID thing. And I don't know. I mean, again, you don't have to believe in that stuff. I don't know if it's true or not. But just the fact that there's all these NGOs, like me as a taxpayer, I never voted for any of that shit. I don't know about anyone on here, but I didn't vote for any of that. All I want is a secure border, a kick-ass military. I want my roads to work. I want my courts to work, and that's really about it. Give me some police, and hell, really, I don't even need the police that much. Like, I got no problems fucking somebody up. Like, somebody wants to come in here, I got a gun. This is Missouri. You don't even have to have a license to carry a handgun here. Like, we don't have to worry about any of that shit, But I don't want to be paying for Section 8 and HUD and corporate welfare. Corporate welfare is the worst. These billion-dollar companies, they don't need tax deductions. I'm sorry, they don't. You know who needs tax deductions? It's people that want to start businesses. Right? And all these kids that wanted to go to school, that was the biggest scam of the last 20 years. Everyone and their brother putting off being an adult and going to school and stealing money from the federal government, the taxpayer, right? Stealing that money and then not even having the balls to pay it back, right? And then you got all these experts saying, oh, they shouldn't have to pay it back. They were misled. Like, no, they weren't misled. Where were the parents? Where were where's the accountability? I don't understand. Okay, we got UPT in here. So if you don't know, it's really you talking about it. I guess maybe you talking about it. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it could just be me, but this is the stuff I want to talk about. And this is my stream, and this is what I like to do. And I do a stream most days around now 5 o'clock. And it's good. It's good to learn to talk. It's good to learn to engage with the camera because, sorry to say it, guys, but this is part of the future. Like, you're just going to have to learn to be able to talk, and you can't always be sitting here going, let me think about what I was, or all these people that love to cry on the internet about how horrible life is, all the doomers. It's just, what are we going to do? Like, this is unfortunately part of running a business. It's part of getting your brand out there. This is part of developing an audience. It's all important stuff to do. And if you want to be able to sell things to people, if you want to start a business, you have to know how to sell people, right? You have to know how to ABC, always be closing. You have to know how to be personable and how to kind of learn what a person is looking for, what kind of demeanor they have, and you have to kind of cater to that demeanor, and you have to learn to sell people. And this is part of being a business owner. You got to be a little bit of a chameleon in a way. And talking on YouTube, fantastic way to do it. I would encourage anybody that wants to start a business to get on YouTube and just start talking, right? It'll teach you to get really good, not use tons of ums and pauses and misspeaks. You have to speak intentionally, and you have to be able to think a little bit forward, which is actually a skill. It's like singing and playing guitar. Most people either play the guitar or they sing. A lot of people will sing and play the guitar as well, but it's a skill, and it takes time to learn that stuff. So I recommend to everybody that you learn to talk. That's a great thing if you want to be a business owner, right? Which is what I talk a lot about on this channel, is starting businesses. So other things we're talking about. So car mechanics. Like, I've noticed that in the last year, I've taken my little Audi to 2 different mechanics at this point, and finally I ended up having to take it to Audi, which just hurts my heart. But both these mechanics said that they could work on Audis, and they didn't do anything. They didn't fix my suspension. They didn't tell me what the problems were. They couldn't diagnose the problems. And all these people are more than happy to tell you they can do anything. But when it comes time to actually do what they say they're going to do, they can't do it. So it's kind of sucks. And a lot of people get poor service from mechanics these days, which is another thing I'm always talking about in my streams. Learn to fix shit. Learn to work on your cars. If you don't know how to work on a car, go get a shit box and start learning. Learn to replace the brakes. Learn, to know what a bad wheel bearing sounds like. A judder in the steering. Learn what tie rods are. Ball joints. All these kind of things. Learn about socket sects, metric, SEA, all these different kinds of things. You got to learn about all this stuff. Otherwise you're going to be stuck having to use one of these shitty mechanics that's out there right now. And these people that have poor skills, poor integrity, right? Poor character. You're going to be stuck with these people and nothing you'll do about it, because you don't know how to do anything, So there's another thing. Cars, right? If you look at cars today, You know, the experts told us that we had to have all these freaking amazing cars, right? You need electric vehicles, and we're going to have hydrogen-powered vehicles and solar-powered vehicles, and the government, of course, threw all this money at us. And if you notice that the only one of these companies that measured up is the company that really was kind of fought against, which is Tesla. Tesla's the only company that made it, right? And this is after, and Tesla made it before the government started throwing billions and billions, hell, maybe even trillions of dollars at this point at car companies, right? And if you look at what happened to all the cars, every car looks the same. You know, just Google, why do all cars look the same? And you'll see the pictures. They'll show like all the SUVs from every manufacturer in like 2020, 2022, 2024, all these years. And they're all basically a version of the same kind of design, you know, unless it's like Land Rover. But it's ridiculous, you know. There's no creativity left in the world because, again, the experts that we thought were these amazing designers, like, they're all gone. And we're left with these people that have never experienced anything. They don't have the experience in life to design cool shit, right? And that goes to what I was saying about movies. In order to make cool movies and to come up with really cool ideas, you have to have done something. Like, you have to have got some shit. The reason Lord of the Rings is so awesome is because World War I happened. You know, it's like the movie Saving Private Ryan. The reason that movie is so cool is because World War II happened. Like, you know why there's no good movies about Afghanistan and Iraq? You know, because those wars were bullshit. There's none. Meanwhile, Vietnam, there was so many amazing movies made about Vietnam. Like, it's just, you have to do stuff, dude. And so, like, these people that claim to be experts today, like, they're not experts. They haven't done shit. They have done nothing, you know? So, anyway, I'm going to keep going, okay? Talk about home repairs. Right? Like, have you noticed how everyone is a handyman now? Suddenly, everyone and their brother can repair a home. You know, like, yeah, where did all these handymen come from? You know, I don't know where we got this idea in our head that anybody could be, you know, a general contractor. I had this guy named Brandon. I guess his name was Brandon on YouTube yesterday. You know, an actual general contractor. Like, I'm sure he'd tell you tons of stories about all these people that claim to be house repairmen, and he probably has to go in there and fix all this shit because most people have no idea what they're doing. They're just trying to make money. They're just trying to do anything they can, and it sounded like a good thing to do, you know? So there's just too many people that are mediocre in this world. They're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. It drives me crazy, okay? These technology companies, right? They take these companies like, you know, Square, Shopify, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, you know, Google, what's some of the other real big ones? Meta, yeah, of course, Meta, right? Meta, Facebook, Instagram, those kind of companies are all Meta. A lot of these technology companies, they've turned into finance companies, you know, because their technology no longer makes them money. So I told the story of crack loans yesterday. And the truth is that I've probably taken out 6 of these crack loans, and they're usually for like 100, 150K. Very expensive, large sums of money, but we have to take these loans out because the banks don't actually loan to small business anymore. The SBA is the biggest scam in America. The SBA doesn't loan out to small businesses unless you're some minority or you're from some refugee from another country, or maybe you're a woman with a disability. They don't loan out to normal people, right? But they'll give, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to an 18-year-old, you know, if they want to as long as they're going to go to college, which literally ripped off the entire country. Those are the worst of the experts. All these professors and all these people that are so good at what they do, all of their pupils, right? The people that basically paid for their service and their product, which was a degree, they're all crying foul because all these professors are full of shit. Their knowledge is antiquated, just like their colleges are antiquated. It's all antiquated, you know? So again, the experts they're all mediocre at this point, you know? The only real experts that there are today are the people that are doing the work right now. These are the only experts because we're the only ones that can keep up with the technology, right? We're the only ones that can keep up with the markets. You know, like, if you want to know how the market is doing, how the economy is doing, go down to your convenience store and ask the guy behind the counter, right? You're not going to figure it out listening to MSNBC. All these people aren't talking to you. You know, go talk to the convenience store guy. You know, go talk to the cashier working at Walmart. They'll tell you how the economy is doing. So yeah, the expert class is mediocre as it gets. All right, Cameron Jensen. Hello, Cameron. We're talking about the mediocrity of experts today. Like, most people are full of shit. especially the ones on television. Most of them are garbage. The people on cable news, they're very unimpressive, to be quite honest with you. And we're just going through all the list of things, the lies that we've been told over the years. And it's really repressed society. It's made society unhappy. It's made society depressed, right? We were talking about, earlier we were talking about healthcare and how people are pushing all these GLP-1, Ozempic, fat drugs and stuff like that. How they pushed SSRIs for like the last 20 years. Remember they're pushing health meds. Everyone was on Oxycontin and Percocet. Like these are all experts that are saying this is good stuff to do. They didn't tell you go out and get some sunlight, go exercise, like eat a little bit better. They didn't tell you any of that stuff. They just didn't. Because they weren't actually trying to give you good information. They're just trying to shill for anybody that would give them money, right? Citizens don't have a lot of money, to pay the experts. So businesses and big brands pay the experts. And again, everyone pushes these experts that has an interest in what those experts are saying. And I don't do any of that, And again, because of things like Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and all these kind of things, you have access to so many other kinds of information that you were kind of able to see that, all these people are full of shit. Like they're all 100% full of shit. And it goes on both sides. It doesn't matter what the issue is, whether it's the left or the right, Republicans, Democrats, whether you're talking about pharmaceuticals or holistic. I mean, they're all of them are full of shit, because the truth is that there aren't a lot of great ideas anymore. That's one of the reasons, like when I talk about making furniture, the reason furniture is such a great business to be in is because you can't automate it. Like that, you just can't, and a lot of people will say, well, yeah, but you can CNC cut a lot of things and there's flat packed furniture and all this kind of stuff. But here's the thing, guys. Once you reach a certain income threshold, you're never buying that shit again. And those are the people that have all the money. I think it's, is it the top 10% of America buys 50% of all the products? So why would you ever cater to the lower class when the top 10% have all the money? So make nice furniture. You're gonna always have a customer. You might not get rich at it, but you're gonna do just fine. You're never gonna be, you're never gonna be asking for somebody else to pay for your student loan. I'll put it that way. All right, who's this? We got Beavis in here. Oh boy, here we go. It's been a while since we had someone come in here with one of these goofball comments. It's actually been quite a while. So, good to see you, Beavis. Anyway, so we're talking about home repairs. We're going to talk about technology companies. So I told you, a lot of these technology companies, they're not making money with their technology now. So what they've done is they've switched over to selling finance, right? So take the company Shopify. Shopify makes an insane amount of money giving out loans to its Shopify store owners, right? So we've taken out a Shopify loan before. The company Square, which I believe was founded right here in St. Louis, that's a Jack Dorsey company, if I'm not mistaken. Those guys handle transactions. They might even own PayPal now. But point is that those guys also loan out tons of money. So they're constantly calling us and emailing us, trying to get us to take out loans with them or finance large purchases with them. They're in the finance game now. So a lot of these technology companies, they've switched over. Google has a finance arm, okay? So a lot of these companies, they've switched their business model to include finance because everybody is borrowing money now because no one can afford shit. And the banks don't do their fucking job, which is loan people money. They only loan money to sure bets. And you can't have an economy that way. You cannot have an economy that way. The reason the federal student loan thing was able to last as long as it did is because the federal government backed all those loans. That's all. That's the only reason that those loans ever happened, and this charade has went on as long as it has, right? If the federal government had never gotten into higher education, that the debt on student loan would be a third of what it is now. Hell, it'd probably be a quarter of what it is now. Okay, so anything the federal government gets involved in fucks it up every single time. Healthcare is the best example I could possibly think of, right? And again, these are the experts. The experts said, "Oh God, if we just in 2008 it was the CARES Act." I forget which act it was. Whatever that Obama guy put in. Like I remember when that happened, right? Like I worked for a company called Nordam. And we had, I think we had 2,000 people at my particular facility. They're a multinational company. They make airplane parts, big commercial jet parts. And they called us all and they said, you know what, guys, like, hey, we have what's called a Cadillac healthcare plan, right? Meaning that we had a low deductible, low copays, we hardly had to pay, I think we had to pay like $100 a month. And because we had a Cadillac healthcare plan, our rates doubled, right? Our premiums doubled, you know, and that's fucking insane. And for what? What? Because some mediocre person said that we have to basically let everybody else have healthcare rights. Everyone else can have all these SSRIs that I was talking about. More people can have Medicaid. More people can have. Now we're gonna pay for GLP-1s. We're gonna pay for, you know, fat acceptance education. We're gonna pay for all this. It's all just garbage, people. It's all garbage. And again, these are these experts, right? These are the people that said this was going to be a good thing. And all it's done is driven up the cost of everything for everybody. You know why you guys can afford nothing right now? Why your jobs are all being replaced by AI? It's because of these mediocre people. They're put into positions of power, and their ideas are allowed to proliferate, and we all suffer for it. Every fucking time. We all suffer for it. So, anyway, back to what I said. So the technology companies aren't even doing technology anymore. They're just doing finance. They're financing everything. You got that Klarna company, right? They're letting you finance food now. You can use a firm to buy, you know, cases of Coke. Like, it's insane, guys. It's absolutely insane what's been allowed to happen to this country. Next thing, news and media. I wrote down that, okay? So basically, 70% of all the income for the news media is all paid for by pharmaceutical companies. Like, I've always wondered, like, how do you pay these anchors? Like, I think it was Rachel Maddow gets $25 million a year. And I think she has something like 500,000 people watch her show. Like, how the hell does that work? The math doesn't math. You know, you only have 500,000 people, and I don't know what the key demo in that kind of situation is, but the key demo would be even lower. Like, say it's 250,000 people. Like, you only have that many people watching your show, and you're making $25 million a year. Where is that money coming from? And truth is all coming from pharmaceutical companies, because the only people that watch news today are old people. Nobody's watching, like, nobody that's Gen X and millennials and Zs and all that kind of stuff, they're not watching cable television anymore. They get all their news on the internet. You know what? Mostly X and like Facebook and places like that. They're not getting their news from MSNBC and Fox News anymore. You know, but those drug companies are showing their ads to all the old people to still watch that stuff. And that's the only way that stuff makes sense. And the truth is, both these groups are lying. Whether you watch the left or the right, it's the people on Fox News just constantly want us in war, constantly, right? So all their, you know, buddies that make, like, I used to work for General Dynamics, which is one of the largest defense companies in America, right? They own Gulfstream, and Gulfstream's the aerospace company that I work for. The parent company is General Dynamics. They own Iron Bathworks. They make fucking submarines and destroyers, big Gatling gun systems. I mean, these people are into everything. You know, and that's what they're trying to do. They just want to stay in war to keep these people in business. Okay, so it's a bad deal. And at the end of the day, there's no accountability when all these news people are lying to you, right? Because they're, again, the experts. You know, but during, you know, the pandemic, which we can't really talk about much on YouTube because they censored everybody. But same thing is, like, those people that lied about the whole pandemic, none of those people have been held accountable. Most of them are still on the news. They're still on television. You know, meanwhile, the people that were telling the truth, all their audiences have grown substantially, right? The money that they're making is starting to grow. The money from regular print media, from cable television, stuff like that, is slowly migrating to the internet. It's very difficult to get that money off of television. You know, you don't see a lot of Pepsi ads on Joe Rogan's podcast. You know, Megyn Kelly's not, you know, hawking Home Depot and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is still on, you know, regular cable. But again, it's slowly leaving because we're realizing that all the experts aren't on television anymore. The experts aren't on the news channels. They're all liars. They're all thieves, and they just want you to fight against me and vice versa. They want to pit us against each other so that we don't see that they're stealing from you. They're making you sick. They're not wanting you to have your own business. They're wanting you to hate your life by working for somebody else. It's funny. They want you to work for somebody who you hate, right? Which is crazy. It's just, why would you work for somebody that you hate? It's like, why can't people find an employer that they really like? Like, I've never understood this. Like, I very rarely have had someone that I dislike that I would work for. And yet you hear this all the time on the internet. You know, I can't figure it out. I don't know why everyone is so unhappy with where they work. We got Sun Tzu in here. What's up, bud? People who watch the news 25 are saying, yeah, holy shit, man. Like, it's insane, actually. they're just they think that the world's going to get nuked tomorrow, and we're going to have another pandemic, and everyone's going to be unemployed. AI is going to replace everything. We're all, what do they say? You're going to live in the pod and eat the bugs. I mean, it's like there's a lot of great things out in the real world, y'all. I mean, out here it really isn't that bad, But what we do have to realize is that, again, the experts from like the last 20, 30 years, like they were all wrong. They've all been lying. And especially during COVID, like most of these people that were telling you what was going on, they were lying through their teeth. And we all know it, like our government's a fraud, and again, they're literally trying to print another $2 trillion of your money, So again, it's going to get harder and harder for you to buy anything. It's sad. It's really sad because nobody will tell their congressperson, no, stop doing this shit. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter who you vote for, right? Like I got Josh Hawley here in Missouri, right? So if I say, you know what, Josh Hawley, don't you dare agree to spend any money, balanced budget or nothing. He's not going to listen to me, right? And then if I vote him out of office, right, and the entire state of Missouri votes him out of office, another person is going to come in and they're just going to do the same thing. Because the truth is that the choice you have is the choice between what the left wants and what the right wants. It's not the choice that you want. Right? And that's the thing that people are it's almost like we're a little bit brainwashed by it. Like you can just say no. You don't have to spend money everywhere you go, because the truth is that most of us, we don't have a ton of money to spend, but the federal government has money for everything, right? Everything, and the people that pay for that stuff are you and I, right? It's the reason the average price for a car today is $50,000, but like I just wrote here, it doesn't matter which car you buy because they all look the same. There's no car today that you look at that car and you go, oh my God, that is definitely a Kia, or that is definitely a Ford, or that is definitely, because they're all basically the same. And everything's homogenized now. It's a bad deal. So, all right, what else we here? See, printing money causes inflation. I've had people talk about this. Federal Reserve is the big, it's like okay, we're gonna go off topic just for a second, guys. The Federal Reserve, right? So again, I never graduated high school. I just spend millions of dollars every year, okay? I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. This is the only experience I have. This is the only thing that makes me an expert, because I actually do this stuff, right? So when an economist tells you, oh, well, the Federal Reserve, they had this mandate and it's stable prices and full employment, right? There's no real definition of what stable prices is. And when they talk about, they're supposed to keep inflation moderate, okay, they don't know what moderate inflation is. And truth is, the Federal Reserve right now, they lost track of inflation years ago. Like they have no idea what the actual inflation rate should be right now. It used to be 2%. It's been like 6 or 7% for years now, and I think everyone sees that, right? Like the Federal Reserve is lying to you. They are literally lying to you. And they print money, and here's another thing. Right now, the federal government, the Fed is actually quantitative easing, and it's not being talked about right now, but they're actually buying up bonds right now, right? Which is they're not supposed to be doing, and they only do that generally when they see instability in the economy, and that's what they're starting to do. And the truth is that when they do this kind of stuff, the money that the Fed issues goes to the banks first. The banks get to spend it. It goes to all the people that can qualify for that money, meaning the rich, right? Then they get to spend it. By the time it makes its way down to you, the average normie, right, the money has inflated. It doesn't inflate when it goes to the banks. It doesn't inflate when the banks lend it out to the people to spend. It inflates by the time it gets down to people like you and me. And that's the problem with the Fed, right? And you can say, well, yeah, but when times get hard, someone has to stabilize the economy. And I would say under normal circumstances, that is 100% true. But we've been artificially propping up the economy for 30 years now. The General Motors should have went bankrupt. AIC should have went bankrupt. Like there's a lot of companies, they should have been out of business. I mean, 100%. Tesla should have never got the money they got from the federal government, because the federal government should not be in the business of picking winners and losers, right? All these remember Obama spent all that money on solar panels? All those companies are fucking bankrupt. But again, the people that had those great ideas got all the money, but the taxpayers stuck with the bill. We shouldn't be paying for that shit. You want to pay for that stuff? You want to pay for all that woke garbage? Go move to California and pay for it, right? But here in Missouri, we're not going to pay for that shit. But when the federal government comes in and says, well, we're gonna spend $7.5 trillion this year, and we're gonna print $2 trillion, that means Missouri and California have no choice. We just have to take it up the ass. It's a bad deal. The Fed is so antiquated. The Fed is the expert that I'm talking about when I said the experts are mediocre. Everyone looks to the Fed as though there's some kind of this great institution. The Fed is not even part of the government, right? The Fed is its own separate entity away from the government. Like, most people don't know this. Like, we cannot shut down the Fed. It's its own thing. So yeah, sorry guys. Like, I'm dumb. I'm a dumb guy. I have this dumb company that I've been working on for years, and the only expertise I know is that I pay a shit ton of taxes. I hire and fire people. I have to basically make sure my customers are happy every day of the week. I've done it for 8 years at this point. That's the only reason I'm in business. I can't print money. I can't fuck my company, my customers over. I can't lie to my customers. I can't lie to my employees. I can't fuck my employees over. I can't do any of those things. Your federal government can do that to you every day of the week, forever, because you can't get rid of the people to fix the situation. That's the problem. That's the real scam. Okay, more stuff. Oh boy, Son's just talking about Occam's razor. I love Occam's razor. Okay, tells me printing money is nefarious, not just the Fed being dumb or not knowing printing hurts. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, but it's the only way that people can stay in power, right? You got to make the peasants happy, otherwise they'll cut off the king's head, and if they keep inflating the way they're doing, eventually society is going to rise up, and you're going to have a revolt, right? You're going to have a French Revolution all over again. You could even have a civil war type situation. I mean, it's very possible, and I hate to be the guy to say that, but it's very possible. It's funny. I saw a meme today, and it said that we raised taxes on like things like cigarettes, right? We call them sin taxes. We raised the taxes up so high that people would stop smoking, right? That was the idea, right? You raise those taxes up, and then you're going to get less of that thing, right? We wanted people not to smoke. Well, we don't seem to do that when it comes to income taxes, right? Like, we just want to keep raising taxes, and we just expect that people like me are going to continue to employ people to, basically turn the other cheek every time we have a pissed off customer or a vendor that's being a dick, or whatever the problems are. We're just supposed to always turn our cheek like, oh, it's no problem. Eventually, we're going to go, fuck you. It's not worth it. I'm going to go back to work for somebody else because it's not worth putting up with all this shit, right? You tax income enough, and I'm not going to work to produce it anymore. There's just no point. Like, the thing that works on smoking, you don't think applies to income, and I think it's hilarious. So anyway, okay, what else we got in here? Okay, do you watch UFC? Of course, I watch a little bit of UFC, not very much. I don't like do the pay-per-view thing. If I see like clips from it on X, I'll watch some of that stuff from time to time. Like, I like watching guys beat the shit out of each other. Who doesn't? Smart. Okay, we can see. Every bill says Federal Reserve note. Yeah, I get it, man. The Federal Reserve, Google it. The Federal Reserve is not a part of the federal government. It's not. It's not accountable to the federal government at all. This is why there was an argument. Trump was talking about firing Jerome Powell and all this kind of stuff. Like, he can't do it. Right, literally the leader of the executive of the entire federal government cannot get rid of the head of the Fed. It's just you can't do it. I don't know what the law is exactly, but they're not tied together. So anyway, it's a bad deal. But that's the Fed. I'm not gonna talk about the Fed. Again, this is one of the things I'm trying to teach people and show people what it's like to run a company and talk about things related to the business of furniture, because that's my business. But when you own a company, you just have a microscope on things like regulation. You have a microscope on taxation. You have a microscope on when people talk about race issues, when they talk about class issues. Like, as an employer, we know the truth about all that stuff because we have the most incentive in the world to make money, right? That's literally the whole reason we're here, right? Is to make money, create jobs for people. And if I just wanted cheap labor, right, I could just hire a bunch of chicks because apparently they make 70 cents on the dollar, which is complete horseshit. We just want good help. That's all we want. We don't care about your race. We don't care about any of that shit. We don't care if you're a woman, if you're a man. We don't care if you're black, you're brown, you're yellow, you're red, whatever the fucking colors are of everybody. We don't give a shit about any of that stuff. We just want to come to work, put in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, just like anybody else. That's it. That's all being a business owner really is. It's not You know, it's not the caricature of a business owner. You know, Jeff Bezos on a fucking yacht with his whore girlfriend. Like, no way. That's not what people want. But that's what people put out there. Or the guys on YouTube driving around in Lambos telling you how to start a business. Meanwhile, you go look at their business. They don't even have a business. Their business is to tell you how to start a business. Their business is to tell you, you know, how to pick up chicks. Like, these people, they're all scams, man. The only real thing in the world today is to start a company and make a product or a service for somebody else. That's all there is. That's the most wholesome, respectable thing I can know to do. You know, that's what it is. You know, if you go to work for somebody, what does your company do? You know, are you working for some piece of shit? Or are you working for somebody where you know the boss? You know, have you ever met your boss before? You probably shouldn't work for that company. You know, if you don't know the owner of the company, maybe these companies are getting too big. You know, it wasn't written down in this talk, but truth is that the consolidation of America is what is destroying it. So the fact that, like, you see all these videos of people bitching about working for Amazon, or today it was Home Depot. There's a guy, he retired and he had to go to work for Home Depot. He's bitching about it. And the truth is that the reason you only have Home Depot and Lowe's for the most part, and I guess there's True Value as well, is because it's too expensive to start a hardware store. Because a lot of these places are buying all their shit overseas. You know, they can afford to hire people for cheap wages. And the truth is they hire MBAs and, you know, business degree people who don't mind paying somebody $12 an hour if they can get away with it. Most business owners today, people like myself, we don't try and do that. We're not interested in that. When someone comes and works for me, you think that I say, oh, I'm paying $12 an hour, and I just wait for people to come in? I don't do that. I tell people, what would you like to make? What do you need to make to feel good about coming to work every day? That is literally what I've told everybody for probably 3 or 4 years at this point. Because I've learned that over the years, there's nothing worse than having a talented individual come to work for me who's not making enough money to not think about every other fucking thing in his life. I want this job, when an employee comes and works for me, I want that job to be the solution to their problems. Right? That's the whole point. Like, why would we even work if we can't make enough money to survive? You know, why would you go to work for somebody who doesn't pay you enough money to have a decent life? Like, I just can't figure it out. And the reason, guys, is because of the consolidation of everything. You know, there used to be 44 different defense contractors. Now there's 8. Okay, and I told you guys this because I used to work for General Dynamics, who was one of the big 8, right? Raytheon, Lockheed, Northrop Grumman. I can't even think of the rest of them. There's a ton of them. I used to work for one of those companies. It's the consolidation of everything in America that is crushing everyone's wages. You know, and I don't know the answer. The answer isn't to say, you know, break up all these large companies, and the answer isn't, well, tax every, you know, dollar over $1 billion at 99% or whatever, you know, Bernie Sanders type people would say. I just know that the further the owner gets from the newest employee is where the problem begins. You know, and it's a hard thing to explain to people, you know, but if you work for Amazon and you've never met Jeff Bezos, odds are you're going to hate your job. Because Jeff Bezos is you're never going to see that guy. And Jeff Bezos, I mean, technically isn't even the CEO anymore, but, you know, take any other company. Tesla, you know how many people work at Tesla have met Elon Musk? Like, it's fucking insane. It's absolutely insane. That guy is all over the place. I'm astounded at how approachable Elon Musk is to his employees, right? That's the richest guy in the world, you know? So the further you get from knowing your boss, more likely you are to hate your job, right? Remember that. That's a very true statement. Okay, Sun Tzu, bullshit job. Yeah, no, the guy wrote the book about it. It's 100% true. I did a talk about it like probably 4 months ago. I did a whole video on that particular book, and I forget the author's name. Those kids with underwater basket weaving degrees. Yeah, but dude, like, that's the problem, right? So these kids, and this is don't take this wrong, guys. Like, I am a horrible parent. Okay, I will be the first to admit it. Okay, I'm a horrible parent. My wife is a fantastic parent. Okay, I'm a workaholic. To me, kids are labor, right? Kids are not accessories to be, you know, oh, my kid went to this school. My kid, you know, has the best car. My kid's going to be the most amazing. Like, no, motherfucker, you're coming to work for me. You're going to be my bitch That's what you're going to do. You're going to come work at my company. And if you don't want to do that, then go away. Okay? Because that's how I was raised, and that's how I treat my kids. You can come work with me. You can come help this family business, or I don't give a fuck. Like we're not gonna gel, because that's what kids are supposed to do. It's my job to give my kids skills that they can use. And if what I do is not good enough for my kids, then what am I doing? And it's something that I know people never like to hear me say, and I could be way off. That's just my take on it, right? That's my take. And what we've done, like Sun Tzu was saying, we let everybody say, oh no, my kids are gonna have it better than I had it. What do you mean your kids are gonna have it better than you had it? Like, fuck, I didn't even graduate from high school and I figured it out. What do you mean you can't figure it out? What do you mean? It makes no sense. You don't want your kids to do what you do. Like, I used to go to work with my dad when I was, I want to say I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. He was a pipe fitter, okay? What he would do is he would Teflon weld natural gas lines. Well, he couldn't pay for child care. I don't remember if he didn't have the money or it just wasn't available. Maybe the people were sick, whatever. I don't know. But I used to have to go to work with him, and they'd put me on the fucking backhoe when I was 8 years old. Like, do you think any company today would let their kids do that? And that is the problem. Like my dad, what he would do is he'd get sick of me bugging him at work. He'd have stuff to do. So he'd play games with me. He'd say, you know what? And this is hilarious, guys. This is a true story, 100% true. My dad said to me, he says, I'll give you 20 bucks. Go climb up that light pole, okay? Big light pole. Like, what are these things, like 40 feet up, 30, 40 feet up? And, you know, it comes over. They're usually in big parking lots. My dad's like, go climb that light pole. And he didn't think that I would do it. He had no idea. And I remember this like it happened yesterday. They had a whole bunch of electrical tape, right? You know, so they were, you know, always working with that kind of shit. And so I took this, they had these big rolls of electrical tape, and I took that shit and I wrapped it backwards around my entire body. I wrapped it around my arms, and I worked my way up this pole, right? And I spent all afternoon figuring this out as a little kid. And I got all the way to the top of that pole, and I'm waiting around for my dad to look, and he finally looks over there, man. He fucking turned white. He freaked out, right? And then I shimmied my way down. He got me down. The entire pole was covered in black, like, marks from me shimmying my way up it with wrapping myself in electrical tape. Like, nobody can do that shit today, you know? And that's part of the problem, because these companies have consolidated. They've gotten so big that when you go to work for these massive companies, you can't say, fuck you, I'm not gonna go work for you. I'm gonna go work for the other company. They actually let us have fun. They actually like their employees. You don't have that option anymore because there's no businesses. There's no businesses. You know, like my guys, towards the end of the night, if they want to have beers, like they're sanding and painting all night. If they want to spend the last hour of the night drinking Modelo's or Blue Moons, like what the fuck do I care? What do I care? Let them. They love it. It's good for them. It's good for morale. It's good for the people. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing they do is dangerous. You know, and they're here at like 8 o'clock at night. You know, we can't do any of that stuff anymore. You know, and... sorry guys, I know it's a little bit of a rant. All right, so Sun Tzu's talking about bullshit jobs. We got Mango Elephant, great name. So let's see, can you coach the South African refugees? I haven't followed that story much, but that's that stuff just, I know you shouldn't say, but I don't care about Africa. I could care less. I don't care about Israel. I don't care about any of these other countries. We've got our own problems here, and it's not to say that I don't care about people. I do. But let those countries deal with their own problems. Like, I'm sorry. When we solve our problems here, we will go take care of everybody else. We will let tons of people into this country, and we will help we'll educate everyone, we'll pay for everything, but we got problems here. We got our own citizens that are fucking broke. We got veterans that live out on the streets, right? We got veterans that literally they have a different healthcare system because the system that we have for our own Congress people doesn't work for the military. I find that to be offensive. Absolutely offensive. There is no excuse for what we have going on here in America. And these are, again, the title of this video, the experts are mediocre. And we can see it plain as day today. We shovel tons of money to other countries via foreign payments, via military spending, we're learning all these NGOs. I mean, all this money, guys, it's all printed, every bit of it. Like, you didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for this. Nobody voted for this, guys. I've never met a person that says, oh yeah, I totally voted for that spending for the gay education in Africa. Like, nobody voted for that shit, guys. There's nobody. You know, some guy that knew somebody in the federal government decided to wiggle his little project in there so he can get a kickback for $100 grand for the $1 million that we probably gave some chick that got paid $10 an hour to go over to Africa and teach little African kids about art who don't give a fuck about art. They could care less. They need water. They need good food. You know, really they need Starbucks. They need capitalism is what they need. You know, but we're going to talk to them about art, and we're going to print the money to go do it, you know, and drives the like Sun Tzu's saying here. You start printing money, it's just inflation. It's as inflationary as it gets, you know. And the best education that we got was during COVID, guys. You know, we gave all that money away to everybody to do nothing. You know, and I've told the stories. How many times have I told you guys the stories of me? It was like $300,000 or $400,000 in my bank account, and I got the wild idea that I was going to become the next Kardashian. Right? Me and my wife, we were going to create a television show for HGTV. I paid a local studio here in St. Louis to come over and film 8 episodes, do a whole bunch of Instagram content, and we were just going to make this thing happen because we were fucking awesome, right? We're so good at what we do, you know. And it was a terrible idea. It was a bomb. It was a dumb idea because that's what happens when you're given money. Money that is given is never spent well. Never. I've never met anybody that got money for free and did something great with it. Like, I just never have, you know. So that's just, yeah, we can't keep doing this, guys. It's just, it's the experts that we've been listening to. They're all liars. They're all liars. And the people that are paying their pockets don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you, right? The banks that were all, the biggest bank of America, Bank of America, you know, they don't loan to small business. You know, but they will give out loans to black people. Remember that? I do remember that. They spent a whole bunch of advertising money on saying they were going to give beneficial rates to black people. Like, what the fuck is that about? Like, that's just outright racism. You know, and again, we can't talk about this stuff, but I'll talk about it. Like, whatever. This is real life, guys. And these people are pitting everybody against each other, and they're printing all of your money away. They're printing your retirement away. They're printing your kids' money away. And in the meantime, they're telling you that what you do is garbage, right? If you're if you're a coal miner in Virginia, again, we're gonna take your job away, right? Learn to code, you know. And then you're like, great. Well, I guess I better go to school and I better go learn some. Well, you go to school, you send your kids to school, and you learn a degree from some fucking retard, you know, some woke DEI bullshit. It's gonna teach you how to basket weave. For $50,000 a year, you're going to borrow the money from me, the taxpayer, and then when you go out in the world, you know, and you try and earn some money, you're going to say, oh, this is bullshit. Give me my money back, you know, or you need to pay for this. Like, fuck you. At some point, people have to be accountable, you know. So that's why I'm always telling parents, I'm telling people that got kids, like, whatever you do, it better be good enough for your fucking kids. You better make sure that your kids do it too. That's how important it is for you to do something that's meaningful. For you to do something that is really good for your soul, and I mean, as best you can. Like, and you're not going to get it the first thing. It may take you 3 or 4 jobs to get there. Like, very, very few people get to do what they love from the very beginning. I was lucky. I just happened to always like woodworking, and it just happened to always be in demand. Okay, and then one of the things I wrote down here is the experts right now are telling you guys AI is taking all the jobs. Okay, so we'll talk about AI for a second. All right, more stuff coming in. Let's see here. Mango Elephant, your dad was an ex-felon. No, but my grandpa was. My dad's dad. So yeah, for sure. I've never been to jail. I don't do drugs. I like to have a drink every now and again. I'm a pretty boring guy. I love to create jobs. That's what I like to do. I love to make furniture. You can go on the resplendentcrow.com and you'll see all my furniture. You know, I make hundreds of pieces every year. I've been in business 8 years. I have a real job. I do real things. And that's what I talk about. And I talk to people on the stream that want to do real things, that are doing real things. And we have real conversations about life and about what it's all about, you know. And I think it's a good thing. I think we need more of this. I mean, how nice would it be to have your YouTube heroes actually get on here and talk about real shit? You know, like, who's the guy, Critical Drinker? He's a real popular one on YouTube. I love him. I'm a big movie fan. You know, but you're never going to hear him talk about any of this kind of stuff, you know, because it's not super palatable. People don't want to hear him talk about it. They want to hear him talk about movies, you know, and they want to hear him say his tagline, you know, whatever. I can't think off the top of my head, but, you know, talk about the woodworking. Who's the popular woodworking guy right now? There's the Bourbon Moth guy, right? Or who's the Blacktail Studio guy? The Blacktail Studio guy, I mean, give that guy some credit. I think that guy's pretty genuine. But the Bourbon Moth guy, like, I don't know, man. Like, I would really like to hear that guy talk about the business of making furniture, because he doesn't really make furniture. He's in the business of entertainment, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is about the business of furniture, because the truth is that most people aren't going to be entertainers. I'm sorry, you're just not. Most people, the people that we all love to watch on YouTube, are the 1%, and most of them are actually the 1% of the 1%. You know, so when we watch these people, we're not getting anything out of it. We're not learning how to do any of this shit. You know, because the truth is the business side is very different. And I can go through how all these people make their money because I've done it all. And I do versions of it now, except that I actually make furniture. I actually have a real product, right? The Critical Drinker guy is actually a very well-known author. He's fantastic at it. He writes books, you know, so I give that guy all the credit in the world. He actually has a real, kind of hands-on approach to how the economy works, how his industry works. He actually does the work. And you can buy his products, right? The Critical Drinker's not trying to sell you, you know, cutting knives and koozies and, you know, fucking advertising. Like, that's not his business model. He's trying to sell you books. He's trying to tell you he's an actual critic on movies. He's got a great, it was every Friday, I think he does a live stream, which is, you know, pretty entertaining, you know. But these people, they need to do more of this, talking about how to do the business side. You know, like, did you know that all these people, their businesses are created with VAs? Do you guys even know what the fuck a VA is? You know, and I'm sorry, guys, this is real talk here, okay? This is real talk. You know who does all of your video editing? You think a Critical Drinker edits his own videos? Fuck no, he doesn't. You think Bourbon Moth edits his videos? Fuck no, he doesn't. He has VAs. They're all from the Philippines. All these people, there's an entire industry over there that just supports YouTube and content creators, right? I've got 2 VAs myself. Right? My VAs handle the Resplendent Home. They handle the Resplendent Crow. They take care of all my wife's reels, okay? Nobody does my video editing because I can't afford it, right? It's all for the business. You got to make money to be able to spend money, okay? But it's all VAs. These guys, you know what we pay these people? We pay them I take that back. We pay them $100 a week. $100 a week. That's for 40 hours of labor, okay? And they're the ones that are doing all the editing. They're cutting out all the ums, and they're cutting out all the stuff that's not on point or on brand. You cut all that shit out and you condense it down into something that's much more palatable and on point, and that's how it works, guys. That's the back end of it. And I wish these people would talk about that kind of stuff so that you guys can learn how to do this stuff. Okay, so all right, more stuff coming in. I'll go through. Sorry, guys, I'm a little ranty today. Okay, Sun Tzu, I appreciate you, man. You're always here for you stick through my rants. Okay, my uncle was denied a kidney because he was not black. Well, again, I don't know if any of that's true, but the point is that nobody should be denied anything based on the color of their skin. That's a job, that's healthcare, that's a savings account, that's an opportunity, right? There's no reason for it, right? Because truth is that while everybody is not created equal necessarily, everybody is entitled to be treated the exact same way, right? And that cuts both ways. You know, if I don't know you, I'm gonna give you the shirt off my back, right? But if you fuck me, I'm done with you. And if you're black, fuck you. If you're white, fuck you. If you're Asian, fuck you. It doesn't matter. And that's how the real world really works, right? It has to go both ways. And the truth is that we don't want it to. And people are banking on, they're angling, you know, Target did this, the SBA does this, like they angle on, Coca-Cola did this, some of you guys remember that. They angle on the idea that, well, if we chase this issue, it's actually gonna get us more people to purchase our products. It gives more awareness on our brand. You know, and it's disgusting, guys. It is, the identity politics of America is disgusting. You know, and if you guys want me to talk about any of that stuff, I can talk about hiring people. I'll talk about hiring all different kinds of races, right? And I'll give you the truth about it because everybody's different, right? And people want to say, oh, we're all the same. No, we're not. Every race has their own problems, and I can tell you what they're going to be the minute that I see you because I've hired enough people at this point. You know, and every race has problems, right? It's not to say that any race is worse than another, but they all have their problems. Trust me. And right now, I have 2 people from South America that work for me. I have an Asian that works for me. I'm the lone white guy. I'm the only white guy in my company. I have a Croatian. Well, I guess he's technically white as well. Got a Croatian, and I've got a Syrian who's now an American citizen. Okay, so these are the people that work for me, and trust me, I've hired every kind of person. Degrees, no degrees, education, no education, young, old, black, white, brown, woman, men. I've hired them all. You know, so that's sorry guys. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, William. That's people were denied things during COVID if you didn't get a vaccine. I mean, there's all kinds of situations and it's bullshit. And that's the good thing about the internet is you can get visibility on these issues a little bit easier. And I don't ever want to hear that stuff. I think it's disgusting. There's no reason you should deny somebody anything based on the color of their skin. You shouldn't deny them anything based on their age. You shouldn't deny them anything based on their background, who their family is. None of that shit matters. It's what do you bring to the table? That's all that matters. What do you say you can provide? If you're young, what you say you can do is going to be way more important than when you're old, right? When you're old, I want to know what have you done? When I'm young, I want to know what do you want to do? What are you going to do? Do you shake your hand really well, right? Do you look me in the eye when I talk to you? What do your parents do? All those kind of things are important when you're young. When you're old, it's all about what you've done. That's all that really matters, because you have a resume. Young people don't, and we got to give young people more opportunities. Maybe I'm not going to talk about them. Okay. So William, all right. So you got just a guy, 1124. What exactly does a positive tracker end on a Plymouth Rock? Is that from? Oh God, Marissa Tomei. Gosh, she's such a hottie. And My Cousin Vinny. I think that's from My Cousin Vinny. I love movies, guys. Trust me. You'll see me wear my Alien shirts. I love Goonies. I'm a fan of 80s movies and science fiction. I love all movies. The movie Sideways. I tell everyone, watch the movie Sideways. And if you're a woodworker and you're into being a tradesman, watch the movie The Company Men. It is fucking awesome. It's one of my favorite movies. Very underrated. Kevin Costner's in it. Ben Affleck's in it. I forget. God, there's just a ton of great actors in it. Chris Cooper's in it. Who's the other? Tommy Lee Jones is in it. God, Craig T. Nelson is in it from the show Coach. Anyway, just I think that's what that is. So sorry, guys. Okay, good. Got to get caught up here. Okay, how do you pick your colors for furniture? I know you match your color, but how about your main palette? Okay, yeah. So that's actually a good question. So, so here at the Resplendent Crow, we're known for our high gloss lacquered finish, right? We're not known as much for the furniture per se. So the company was founded on painting faux bamboo furniture, right? If you don't know what faux bamboo furniture is, Google it. Just Google faux bamboo furniture. Odds are I'll come up or the Resplendent Crow will come up because we're the company that popularized the style. Well, anyway, to answer your question, son, I did a talk on my Instagram. I have an Instagram subscriber page that I'd never talk about here, but it's something that I pay for. Well, I'll give it to you guys, okay? So what we do is, when it comes to colors, my wife is a massive fan of luxury, right? And what I mean by that is she loves the company Hermes. She loves the company, Chanel. Big fans of those two companies specifically. She also likes Gucci, but Chanel and Hermes are kind of her main companies. She's really into those companies. Well, they have very distinctive colors. Hermes has a very distinctive color. Their brand is actually orange. So one of the colors that we have is called Hermes Orange. And we don't call it Hermes, or we used to, but we can't anymore. We're big enough to where it's an issue. So we just call it orange, but it's the same exact color. So we have that color, right? Some of the other colors that we have used over the years, there's a company called Fine Paints of Europe. They make some of the finest exterior grade oil-based finishes ever. They're gorgeous. Google them. They're very high-end company, but their paints take forever to dry, right? So you're not going to scale up a business using Fine Paints of Europe when the average dry time is like 16 hours for one coat of paint, right? That just doesn't work if you want to grow a company. So we've used a lot of colors from their deck over the years. Some of their old decks that are really old, they're not around anymore. We've used some colors from that kind of stuff. Other things that we've done is Suchetta has actually, she'll just see a color and she'll immediately just be like, oh, that's got to be in our main collection of colors. We keep about 32 standard colors, but every now and again she'll find a color. One of the times my sister sent us a color that she wanted for a piece of furniture that we painted for her, and my sister's an artist, and we just ended up calling it Heidi's Blue or Heidi's Teal. Anyway, it became one of our standard colors, and it's just gorgeous, you know. So that's kind of where all of our colors come from. It's not generally from clients, and it's not from, you know, like Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore. These are all, you know, Farrow and Ball. Our colors don't come from those companies who like make all the colors. It's usually from things within the environments or things that my wife likes. You know, there's some beautiful colors from the Taj Mahal in India. We've used colors from the Taj Mahal. We also own a hardware company, and a lot of our designs come from architecture from around the world. So that's another kind of thing. But anyway, I hope that answers your question, son. It's mostly from inspiration from my wife because she just loves color. She has an affinity for it. She's hypersensitive to things. At my house, we have 7 large bird feeders, and so we get birds coming in all year round. So in the winter, we get bald eagles because we're right on the Mississippi River, so there's bald eagles around. We get a lot of cardinals. We get a lot of different species of woodpeckers, tons of cardinals. Lots of finches, which finches are actually very, very interesting colored. We get a lot of hummingbirds, blue jays, just all kinds of birds. Orioles. I'm trying to think of all the freaking birds. There's just a ton of them, guys. And she'll get some of her inspiration from just seeing birds and stuff like that. So it's not as I guess simple. It's just an inspiration kind of thing. And I said, my wife has curated this collection of colors from over the years, and people over the years have just really liked her colors, and they've been very popular. Colors like ruby, the Hermes orange is real popular. We have a color called Swiss coffee, which is real popular. So anyway, that's kind of what we do. That's how we come up with them. So okay, let's see. We got John Modem Wood. See, I've got to say, he'd love to see you at SawCon. No, not a chance, guys. Not a fucking chance. I would never go to any of those shows. Tell you guys my hate for the woodworking industry. That's the thing, guys. That's why I don't make a ton of videos about like woodworking. Like it's not what's the word I'm looking for here. I'm not in to teach people how to make furniture and how to make cabinets and stuff like that. I do not like a lot of the furniture, the equipment companies. And the one company I detest, and SawCon may not be a real thing, dude. I have no idea, but I'm gonna tell you guys this anyway. I detest the company SawStop. I fucking detest this company. And it's not because of the saw that they make or the technology that they have. I think that their saws are fantastic and their technology is great, and it has a place in every shop in America. But what that company did was they basically tried to strong arm the entire industry of tools to use their technology. So basically, if you're like behind, you guys can't see this back here, but it's a cheap rigid 12-inch miter saw, right? And I think it might have been like $200 or $300. I couldn't even tell you what it was. But point is, I would have liked to have bought the Festool one, which was like $1,000. But I didn't have the money at the time. Honestly, I was in a cash crunch, and I just needed a saw right away. So I literally just ran up to Home Depot and got a saw because I can't run a shop without a miter saw. It's kind of important. Anyway, what that company SawStop was trying to do is they were trying to make Rigid have to put their SawStop technology on their miter saw, right? So that $200 or $300 saw would probably double in price, because that technology, right, uses a cartridge, which is really cool. It's technically like a honeycomb cartridge, and that cartridge, as the system, right, which has a current running through it, measures the moisture, right, in your body. The blade picks up on that in a microsecond, engages that cartridge, and it causes the blade to stop, right? And it's fantastic technology, but they tried to force that on people, and that is no bueno with me. Like I said, I just told you guys that the experts are mediocre, okay? This company basically thought that their technology was so great, they worked with politicians to try and get this brought in, probably through OSHA. I'd have to go back and look at what I read about it, but probably through OSHA, right, which is a federal government, and I'm against all of that. You should not tell anybody how to make a miter saw. You should not tell them how to make a table saw, and you should not tell anybody any of this stuff, right? Because truth is that there's a lot of people that need cheap tools, and whether that's used tools or that's cheap new tools. If you're going to learn how to make stuff, if you want to make stuff, if you have any inclination to fix things, you need to be able to buy cheap grade tools. And that saw stuff, I lost all respect for that company. Like when I read about that stuff, because it's anti-competitive. It's anti-woodworker. It's not good, and it's all done under the guise of safety. And if you guys know, I've done these streams now for a while. I hate the safety police. I hate safety culture. I hate all of it. I think that it's all a bunch of geeks that have never worked a day in their lives. They all went to college, and they just have all the best ideas about how to make things safe, right? So you get a construction worker who's got he's got a harness on, he's got a hard hat, he's got glasses, he's got ear protection, he's got, fucking neck guard on. He's probably got, some kind of football, gear on, in case of impact. He's probably got a respirator back there and some kind of, extra oxygen, in case the oxygen in the world gets turned off. These people are disgusting. I hate safety culture. It is just, if there's, I don't like to use the word hate as very often, but I detest everything about safety culture. It is not anybody's job to teach you how to be safe except your teacher. That's it. That's it. And so there you go, John. I hope that gives you your money's worth in terms of response to your question. All right, we got this is just guy 1124 in here. Any Memorial Day plans? Oh God, is that this weekend? What is today? Wednesday. Tomorrow's payday. We got to do paychecks tomorrow. Ugh. I don't have any plans for Memorial Day. I think that's this weekend. I do not have any plans. I do think my wife asked me if we wanted to do anything. Truth is, guys, I'm so far behind. The only cabinet maker I have right now is a part-time cabinet maker, and I think that I'm working most of the holiday weekend. So what's everyone else doing? I mean, let me know. What do you guys do with your Memorial Days? Like I'm a workaholic, to be honest with you. My wife has to drag me out of work to go get me to do things. She generally has to give me some kind of advance notice to get me to go do anything. But yeah, I don't have any plans. We used to go down to Table Rock Lake and go skiing quite a bit for the holidays, but we don't do that as much anymore. We'll probably go down to Grafton, if I'm being quite honest. We got this little town called Grafton in Illinois. I live just up the road from it. And it's fantastic. They call it the Key West of the Midwest. And they've got like tons of bars right on the river. They've actually got a winery. They got Grafton Winery. So we'll probably go down there and listen to live music. They got a lot of live music going on. So I might do that. I got a lot of shit to do around the house, so maybe we'll work around the house. I got a deck that I got to finish up. I got a house generator that the generator works, but the converter box isn't converting the generator electricity to the house when the power goes out. So I got to figure out what's going on with the transfer switch. So I'll probably do something like that, but I don't know. What's everyone else doing? Okay, what do you make? That's Josh D. That's his website. Yeah. So Josh D. So what I make? We make custom furniture. We have production line furniture, but we make it all right here in St. Louis. We don't farm it out. We don't do much CNC cutting. Most of it's made by hand, and we've been doing it for 8 years. If you go on the resplendentcrow.com, you can see all of our furniture. Just look at newly made, and you'll see all the time. And we make it all right here. So that's why I rail against foreign-made furniture. I rail against tariffs, all these kind of things. Like, I'm the only guy in America apparently that thinks tariffs would be awesome. Like, just bring it on. I'm happy for Crate and Barrel and Williams-Sonoma and Restoration Hardware and all these companies to take it up the ass, right? Because they've sent your jobs overseas for 30 years at this point, and if they had to pay 154% more to bring that shit over here, I'm completely okay with it. And trust me, Restoration Hardware stuff is beautiful. The people in Vietnam make great furniture. But I don't care about Vietnam. I don't care about it. And when people talk about, low prices, fuck your low prices, okay? The reason most people can't get jobs today is because no one knows how to do anything. And the things that they do know how to do, everybody knows how to do that stuff. So it's worth nothing, right? The reason I can make furniture today is because there's not a lot of people that make really good furniture. There just isn't, The most popular woodworking YouTube channel in America right now, I think, or on YouTube, and guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably that Blacktail Studio guy. What's he make? Tables. Like, what's a great furniture maker on YouTube that makes the same thing over and over again for years on end? Like, there are none. They all do one-off stuff because you got to entertain people. And the truth is that nobody's buying that shit. I literally have a company based on selling furniture. The people on YouTube have woodworking companies based on selling advertising. You notice all your favorite woodworkers on YouTube are doing BetterHelp ads. They sell boner pills. They're doing mental health stuff. They sell koozies and t-shirts and all kinds of, like, that's not what we do here. That's not my channel. My channel is to show you guys that you can start a business making furniture. You can make the same thing over and over again. You can make stain grade furniture. You can paint furniture like I do, but you can make all kinds of furniture. You can make tables if you want. There's a lot of money in tables, but everybody makes tables, right? But this credenza that's right behind me, nobody makes this. My Athens line Greek key furniture, nobody makes it. Why? Because it's too goddamn hard. You know, and that's the thing I tell you guys. If you want to be a woodworker, you want to learn to do this shit, you actually have to be good at making furniture. You have to really work at it, and it takes time. And you don't have to be the best, but you do have to actually make the furniture. You know, if you want to be one of these people that just talks about making furniture and has a bunch of people that do all the work, like there's this, I think it's called like cutting it close or cutting too close, something like that. You know, he's got a bunch of CNCs. Like that guy's pretty cool. I like that guy because he actually shows you, you know, he's got a whole shit ton of CNCs and he's not bullshitting. Like it's just shit tons of CNC work. He's making lots of cutting boards and, you know, those wood letters, and he goes to the trade shows and the guy does the work and he tells you when shit's not working out. Machines break, employees quit. You know, he'll spend all this time and money to go to a trade show and make nothing. Like that's business, and that's the kind of stuff that I like. I like watching that content. It's the content where the guys are just, you know, oh, I love that word, commission. I got commissioned to make a desk, you know, and it's like some fucking white oak, you know, ugly desk that, you know, only one Californian's gonna buy because they're the only people buying mid-century modern furniture in America. You know, it's like, I'm sorry, I know it's not very nice. I should be nicer. Okay, all right, so yeah, I told you guys about Workplace. Joseph, I told you guys what I make. Sun Tzu, yep, talks about my website. I don't see the apparel or resin wood tables. I know, I need to get those on here. I'm working on a resin table. No, actually, what I have to buy is I have to buy $10,000 in crotch mahogany. Right, so I got to go talk to oakveneers.com, who's the company, and I've got to buy 6 sheets of crotch mahogany veneer, and that's my big spend, right? And so the table that you'll see next on my channel is going to be a 15-foot crotch mahogany table with 2 bases underneath of it, and probably going to have some kind of griffins or some kind of neoclassical kind of base, and that's what we're going to make. You know, I'm not making any fucking boxy resin tables. I'd call the Blacktail Studio guy and I'd have him make it for me, and I'd just upcharge it and sell it to my client. If he'd do it. I don't know if he'd do it, you know. So, or who's the other guy? I see this Zach Vaught guy. He's the other, how to start a woodworking business, build tables, you know, and you're like, well, where's your table company, man? Oh, I sold it, you know. Yeah, you got out of making furniture so that you could tell people how to make furniture. And that's the scam, guys. It's most of the people that are telling you how to get in business aren't actually in business anymore because it's too hard. They realize that if I made a little bit of money, if I make a little bit of money, I'm not going to continue to make furniture or make tables, right? Because it's too fucking hard. Because it really is. It's difficult. But you will always have a job. You will always be in demand. You will always be middle class, you know. And again, the cost of furniture, when inflation happens, which has been happening for a while, the cost of the furniture always goes up, right? And if you operate in the tiers that I tell you guys, good, better, and best, if you operate in the best, and remember what I told you guys, 10% of the population buys 50% of all the shit, right? You cater to that audience, you will always make money. Okay, so, all right, what else? All right, Chelsea, do you have any Eastern red? No. Why would I? Again, go on my website, dude. Like, I paint furniture. Like, I am known for having high gloss lacquered furniture, right? Your girlfriend or your wife buys her shit from me, okay? She's not asking you to make her a red cedar log, okay? Like, she's gonna ask you to say, go get me some Resplendent Crow furniture because I wanna see my face in it when I'm doing makeup, all right? When you bend me over this thing, I wanna see myself in the reflection. That's what people buy from me. Now, yes, I do make crazy stained furniture, but I'm not making the dumb shit that everyone else is making. You're not going to get me to make you some stupid mid-century modern piece of furniture. I'm going to make neoclassical, right? I'm going to make faux bamboo. I'm going to make the stuff that people aren't making anymore because it's too hard, you know, and that's why I have a business. You know? So, sorry guys, I know that's a rant. I just don't have it in me to put up with people's dumb shit these days. Like I just don't. It's a business. You know, and I tell everybody, you ever come to St. Louis, look me up, look up the Resplendent Crow, and just stop by. It's the only building with a pink door, right? Because the company was founded by my wife, who's a chick, and our brand is the color pink, right? Furniture glamorized. That's our tagline. It's not super sexy. Men aren't going to dig it, but guess what? I've got a business. I'm able to work. I'm able to stay in business, have a middle-class living. I can drink beer in the middle of the day. It's okay. You know, and I talked to you guys about running a company, a real company. It's not just me entertaining you with epoxy tables and then trying to sell you lube. So anyway, I think that might be enough. What do I got? We got almost 80 minutes, guys. I probably should get back to work. I've got to finish up a dresser, right? So from my Emily, look up the Emily 9-drawer dresser, okay? We make them in 80-inch, we make them in 65-inch. I just had to make 2 of them. I have to make another one in a couple of weeks. But that's what I'm gonna go work on, and we're gonna paint it. It's not gonna be stained, it's gonna be painted. You know, so we will take that thing, we'll break the entire cabinet down, we'll take every bit of it apart, we sand it all, right? Of course, we'll label everything first. We sand the whole cabinet, we prime it, we sand everything again, right? Then we paint it, we'll put 1 coat on, a tack coat, we sand that, knock down any high spots, we paint it again, and then we look at it. If the shine is good, we put it all back together. If the shine is not good, we sand it and we coat it with a 3rd coat. And we do that process until the shine is hot enough that your wife will buy it from me, okay? Because it has to have a reflection. She has to be able to see herself. When her friends come over, her friends have to go, what is that? That is so pretty. Because guess what? Chicks like shiny furniture. They like shiny rings. They like fancy shit. I sell fancy shit to women. So anyway, you guys have a great day, and we'll do this again tomorrow. I'll come up with something. And like I said, I'm gonna do these talks around 5 o'clock. I do what's in the shop on Friday, and we go through the shop and I show you guys what we're working on and whatever's going on. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.